Morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. And with it being Thursday, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Pass Defense Thursday, or Pass Coverage Thursday. We're going to take a look at how individual players on the Seahawks are holding up in coverage. So, obviously, we got rung up a little bit by this Detroit Lions team, but it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad. There were some promising signs. We forced a turnover. We actually took one back to the house, and there was a little semblance of stuff to build on here. And some of the completions the Lions had, I mean, we got our hands on the ball. Like Julian Love, and I'm going to talk about Julian Love in a not so positive light later, but there was maybe two plays where either he would get his hand on the ball, or I think it was Kobe Bryant getting his hand on the ball, and somehow it would get completed anyway. Like that's tough. I can't get that mad about stuff like that. So it's coming. But let's dig in here, starting with the linebackers. And the linebackers kept things fairly clean, I'm happy to report. Let's start with Bobby Wagner. So for the season, 4 targets, 4 completions, 38 yards. So that means in this most recent game, he allowed 2 completions on 2 targets for a grand total of, let's check the edit history, 14 yards. I got no problem with that. If my middle linebacker who's playing every snap, who is mostly here for run defense, is only giving up 14 yards in coverage over the course of a full game, I'm happy with that. QB rating allowed is down actually a little bit to 106.2. No issues there. If Bobby Wagner can keep up this coverage performance this year, we're fine. Devin Bush did not play, so we got Jordyn Brooks. So Jordyn Brooks got targeted 7 times in this game. Gave up 6 completions, but only for 34 yards, according to PFR. And by the way, I'm going to reiterate this. I'm using PFR. I know PFR and PFF are going to have some disagreements. Sometimes I have disagreements with PFR, but PFR is what I prefer to use, generally speaking. Jordyn Brooks, 34 yards allowed in coverage in this game. I can live with that, no problem. 7 targets, 34 yards allowed, that's less than 5 yards allowed per target. And I understand that a lot of those completions are probably the short completions they need to convert a first down. So it's not perfect, but given that Jordyn Brooks has been a coverage liability his whole career, this is a big step in the right direction. I will deal with the short completions from Jordyn Brooks if he's not giving up stuff behind him. So QB rating allowed 92.1. And those are your linebackers. So yeah, up here, no problem. There was nothing new for the edge rushers. They're not. It's one of these weird things where we go to this 3-4 defense, and then we start using 2-man fronts, and then we have our edge rusher. It's like we took this really weird path to basically being in a 4-3 defense because we have 2 down linemen, and then we have 2 edge rushers who are standing up, but they pretty much always rush the passer. So it's a 4-3 defense, except our edge rushers are standing up. So these guys are rarely in coverage. It's weird. I don't know what else to say about it, but we took a really weird path to having a 4-3 defense. I don't understand what's going on there, but that we need another defensive lineman if we're going to commit to running a true 3-4, I think. Anyway, nothing for the edge rushers. Cornerbacks. Some interesting stuff here. Tariq Woolen gave up 1 catch for 2 yards, and then he got hurt. So, through 2 games, the guy's not giving up anything. He's given up 7 yards across 2 games. 70.1 QB rating allowed. I know he got burned against the Rams deep, and Stafford just missed the throw, but in terms of results, you're pretty thrilled about this. Then you've got Mr. Witherspoon, 5 targets, 3 completions. I believe both incompletions were 4th down, if I'm recalling correctly. So you got to understand, those are not just your average everyday incompletions. Those are monstrously big incompletions. 64 yards allowed, 60 air yards, 4 yards after the catch, 1 touchdown. So because of the touchdown, his QB rating is sky high, 143.7. But what I'm going to say about this, it's a flea flicker. You got to live with the results on that one. I don't think you can get that mad at Devin Witherspoon for allowing a flea flicker touchdown in his first ever NFL game. They got him. But I'm not going to trip on that one. The only thing he did in that game that made me trip in any real way was the pass interference call because I don't think he had to bear hug the dude, and he did it, and he got flagged for it. Like, he did everything right, but then his arms kind of wrapped around the guy, and you draw the flag. But other than that, I was pretty happy with what Witherspoon did. The numbers will get better. The numbers will calm down. You can see that he's a gamer. Mike Jackson did not play at all on defense, which continues to really confuse me, how this guy can go from training camp darling to complete doghouse that quickly. But, yeah, he didn't play. Trey Brown did play, however. He gave up 3 catches on 5 targets for about 50 yards and a touchdown, but he also had the interception, the big game-changing interception that ended up playing a big role in us winning this game. And his QB rating allowed on the season is now 99.1. It's dragged down significantly by the pick, which, I mean, bad throw, but we'll take it how we can get it right now. We needed somebody to step up and make a big play, and Trey Brown ended up being that guy. So you give up 50 yards and a touchdown in a game, but you also take a one back to the house, and you get a sack. I guess I'm going to be pretty okay with that. That's just what we need right now. And it's the kind of defense that I thought we were going to have this season, where the defense was not going to be great. It was going to give up yards and points, but it was going to force turnovers, which would allow us to win games. That's exactly what we got on Sunday, right? Defense gave up a lot of points, did a lot of things that were not so good, but they won the turnover battle, gave 14 easy points to the team with those turnovers, and they won. So, hey, Trey Brown, signs of life. Let's go. I love it. What I don't love so much would be Kobe Bryant. He continues to get beat up. Not quite as bad this time, I guess, but that was mostly because he didn't play quite as much. So on the season so far, he's been targeted a grand total of 10 times. He was targeted 4 times in this game, allowed 4 completions for about 35 yards. And his QB rating allowed isn't that bad. It's 98.7 because the yards per completion allowed is so low. But it seems like whatever the other team needs to get, he's given up. So we're not where we want to be with Kobe right now, unfortunately. But he is playing out of position. Hopefully we can figure this slot cornerback thing out at some point. I don't care what we have to do it, but we got to do it. Artie Burns did not allow any completions. He was targeted once. He didn't play a lot, but so far this season, hey, the numbers are there. He's been targeted 3 times and has a QB rating allowed of 45.1. So he's doing his job. Now, will his job be expanded because he's playing fairly well? We'll see. And then we got safeties. Now, Quandre Diggs, according to PFR, still has not allowed a completion on the season. I think he kind of got lucky. PFR didn't knock him for the first touchdown of the game, where it could have either gone on Love or Diggs, and they gave it to Love. And I understand why it went on Love's head. It probably was him, but Diggs was late getting over there. So I think you can give Diggs at least a little bit of credit for that touchdown allowed. I really do. And Diggs so far to me has not been very good this season. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's just starting a little bit slow. He is a little bit of an older player, though, coming off that bad injury. Last year I thought was going to be kind of his comeback year, where he would slowly work his way back up to where he was, and then by the end of the year he'd be good, which mostly he was. But so far this year, he's looked as bad as he looked at the end of the season, or excuse me, the start of the season last year, probably worse. So officially, no completions allowed yet on Diggs, but that touchdown, like the Diggs that I know, gets over there in time to either break up that pass or pick it off. That's all I'm saying. Don't really know what's going on there. So the only guy left to talk about is Julian Love, and this guy's getting lit up like a Christmas tree right now. He got targeted 9 times in this game, so very similar to what he got lit up with last time. Now, in terms of completions allowed, it was even worse than last week. It was 8 completions allowed, another 100 yards allowed in coverage, according to PFR. I think PFF's a little nicer to him, but whichever site you want to use, PFF or PFR, I think he leads the league in yards allowed in coverage. 152 air yards, 63 yards after the catch. So it's both sides of it. He's allowing stuff down the field, and the tackling is not good after the catch is allowed. And they gave him that 1 touchdown. I think it was the first touchdown of the game that was allowed by the Seahawks. QB rating allowed 128.2. We got to change his role. This is why Jamal Adams getting back is so important, guys. I got some comments on my video that I made yesterday talking about how, we don't care if Jamal Adams plays. He's going to get hurt again. He's terrible. He's awful. He's this. He's that. This is why we really need Adams out there and why we need him to stay healthy. Look at this. Julian Love, whatever we have him doing right now, it's clearly not what he's supposed to be doing because he gave up about like less than 400 receiving yards last season all year for the Giants. And he's more than halfway there after 2 games. So whatever we have him doing right now, it's not what he's supposed to be doing. The numbers speak for themselves, guys. This guy has given up over 100 receiving yards in his first 2 games as a Seahawk. He was nowhere near 100 yards allowed in coverage in any game last year as a Giant. He's a good player. This guy was not some UDFA who had some random kind of fluky season. This is a 4th-round pick who developed over several years with the Giants. Last year he broke out. This is a good player. But through 2 games, he might be the worst player in the league. I don't know if he is or not, but he looks like the worst player in the league. That's how I'll put it. He looks like he might be the least valuable player in the NFL. So, Julian Love, he can play. Like he proved that last year. He's proved that in previous years. But something's wrong with the way we're using him. There's no way this should be happening. 215 passing yards allowed by one guy in 2 games. Pretty sure Trey Flowers never did that. Pretty sure Trey Flowers never did anything close to that. So figure it out. Figure it out. And we need Jamal Adams back so Julian Love can play a more specialized role. But it's going to take some figuring out here because this is too good of a player to be getting beat up like this. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. That is Pass Coverage Thursday. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. And that's, I think, what we kind of expected this year. The win is notched. And I will see you guys later today. More videos and a stream tonight with the Hawks Nest. See y'all later.